Okay, so just so all of you know, I have the camera set up and it is recording right now. Just FYI. Okay, let's see here. I know we've got speeches today. Self-evaluation. Did I print this twice? I must have printed this twice. All right, I'm just getting organized here. All right, hang out. Yeah. Even if what? No, if you're not going today, you didn't need to bring it in. But if you need me to print, for those of you who are presenting on Thursday, if you need me to print for Thursday, same rule will apply. Send it to me by 1 o'clock on Thursday at the latest, so I know to print it. You're welcome. All right, 1, 2, that. All right, Vanessa's here. You're welcome. Huh? Oh, it was attached to yours. Okay, Hannah, this one's yours. You got stuff in marks.
Not bad. You heard that? Not bad. That's great. I've been trying to get a do-rag.
Okay, I think I'm organized and ready. Robert, you ready to start? Okay. You can talk about your stuff later, okay? All right, we have speeches today. We have the first half that are going. So our lineup is Victor, Mark, Leo, who is sick again, so he'll go Thursday, Hannah, Alyssa, Shanice, Vanessa, Jackson, Keely, and Brianna. All psyched and ready? Okay. Couple of things. Remember, when you're up here, when does your speech begin?
When you get up.
Get up. And what should you do when you come up to the podium? Victor, I expect to see one out of you. What else? I heard someone else's voice. Breathe. Take that moment to collect yourself and your thoughts. And punctuation. What do we do with punctuation? Use it to breathe. Yep, exactly. And look at the audience. Look at me to help you get started. When you have me, you have a package deal behind me. Okay. Victor's great to look at too. He always has a smile on his face. And so does Robert, so make use of the two of them in the back, okay? Let's see, what else? Time, 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. I am not going to stop you, but you need to be mindful of your time. With that being said, I am gonna ask for 2 volunteers to help me. This is when I had preceptors, and they would help me with this. Would somebody be willing to be a timekeeper for me today? Kristen, yeah, someone who's not presenting. So you will be my timekeeper, so just use your phone. The moment they open their mouth, hit start. So if they're using the power pose moment or breath, don't count that, like literal, like verbal. And then the moment, they say thank you, boom, you're done. Because we always say thank you, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I saw some of you wrote that into your speech. Nicely done. And then I'm going to ask for another volunteer. Robert, you're not going today, right? No. Okay. To count filler words for me.
Damn. I promised to never raise my hand. Okay. All right. I'll try.
Here you go. This will just help me when I go to review later, so I don't have to sit there and time it again. So as you can see, I have it recording on Collaborate. Do you all know how to access recordings in Blackboard Collaborate? Is that it? Who doesn't? If you don't know, raise your hand. I will show you later. Okay. This way you can go back in and watch your speech. I can go back in and watch it. Normally I do record with my phone, but I decided because the first two are not being graded, I'm just going to use Collaborate so I don't fill up my phone with 19 videos over the next ×3. So this way I'll record your last speech, and that will be the one where I will be more critical in my feedback and looking for all those little things. But this week I want you to come up here and just give it your best, do your best, okay? And that's all we ask. But when you come up, after you're done, there are self-evaluation forms up here. So you can critique how you think you did. So when you're done, take one of these, take it back to the seat. But what I do ask is that you're not filling it out while the next person is up here speaking, because we want to be a good audience member and give them our undivided attention. So you can just fill it out at the end of class and give it back to me. Sound good? Okay, Victor, the podium is yours.
I would like everyone to close your eyes. Go ahead, close your eyes. Imagine sitting in a vehicle whose only purpose behind moving, besides moving, is to make sure that you don't die from bullets. All around is sand and sun as far as the eye can see. It's over 100 degrees, and you're wearing your body weight in gear, and there's no AC. You're also traveling with the experience of almost dying in a firefight about 2 weeks prior. Hot and on edge is an understatement. Go ahead and open your eyes. With this backdrop, you can somewhat imagine what I might have felt and thought when my convoy arrived at its destination, a village that is one of several stops to maintain friendly relations with the locals. My mission was simple: protect the civilian translator that traveled with us. When the translator was taken away from us to speak with the elders, I and the rest of my squad were very uncomfortable. We then set a defensive perimeter around our vehicles and waited for something to happen. After some time, a very interesting thing happened. An old lady comes out of her home carrying a massive cauldron filled with something. Behind her follows a little girl with bowls and spoons. She sets up shop right in front of us and starts to fill the bowls with what we now know as stew and forces them into our hands. We had no idea where we were allowed to take the food, if it was rude not to, or if it was simply poison. And worse, we had no translator to help us with the exchange because the whole time the lady's talking and we have no idea what she's saying. Eventually, I decided to just eat. I was hungry, tired, and honestly just didn't care anymore. I took a bite and had the first good meal in months. It was amazing. After saying how much I enjoyed it and that I wasn't dying from poison, everyone else decided to start eating as well. It took minutes for a stressful situation to turn into a small party filled with laughs and jokes. When it was finally time to leave to our next destination, we felt human. Thank you.
Okay, Mark.
I feel like we all have had a time in our life where we kind of felt a little hopeless, as if nothing you could do, well, as if there was nothing you could do about the current situation. Because I know I have. And speaking from experience, it's very frustrating. Just thinking about it is aggravating. For me, this experience happened by playing high school football. It's crazy how easily you could get hurt in sports just by being a little unlucky. As I was trying to avoid a defender before getting tackled, something in my knee ended up out of place, which then led me to needing surgery for my knee. This left me in pain, and when surgery day came along, all I could remember was how comfortable the bed was before I got knocked out from the anesthesia. Afterward, this led to a physical therapy process, which allowed me to slowly get a little better. For my last day of PT and on, I always have some pain in my left knee if I overwork it. After some time, I wanted to play sports again, but didn't think I'd be able to catch up back to football again after all that lost time, so I tried something new. This led me to play basketball, and the more and more I played and got better, the more and more I loved it, and it then quickly became a newfound passion. This made me feel much better and gave me a new sense of positivity, even though I felt like there was nothing I could do. I found something worthwhile, even with the knee pain here and there. It all got better over time. I didn't get to play in the big leagues how I hoped to back then, but these failures led to a new passion as well as new beginnings. The moral of the story is that when you feel all is lost, that's when you find out you didn't know. That's when you find out you didn't know what you've been looking for. Thank you.
Oh, Victor, did you get a evaluation form? Oh, do you mind grabbing one for him, please? Thank you. Okay, Hannah?
Sports. Oh, how much I despised that word before. One main thing everyone knew in the past was that they knew how bad it was at almost every sport there was out there. I remember I would have rather done math than play a sport, and I hated math. If you think we were bad at a sport, I guarantee you were probably better than me at it. During middle school and high school, when we played sports such as basketball, soccer, volleyball, I'd be so afraid I'd mess up in front of everyone. But in the end, of course, I embarrassed myself. My basketball experience were half the time me getting hit in the head, and that goes for volleyball as well. When I played soccer, half the time I'd be falling to the ground at the end of the game, my knees would be scraped, with the result of me leaving no impact on helping my team win. I refused to believe the fact that I was bad at sports, even though I gave all my effort to try. As years went on, I gave up on sports and refused to play it during school. I realized I didn't give tennis a chance, and I thought to myself, did I forget tennis is a sport? I asked my mom if she could put me in tennis lessons just for a week to see if I was good at it or not. Of course, I doubted myself, but there's a twist to that. As I learned how to play tennis, I was quite decent at it. At that moment, I was proud and relief filled me. Months went by, and I was still in tennis lessons. People observed me and said I was very good at tennis. I thought they described me as decent, but no, they said very good. I decided to go to tryouts for my high school tennis team since I was very good. I was confident I would make it to tryouts and being able to join this tennis team. I succeeded in trying out, and a couple hours later, I got an amazing email from my coach saying I was able to join the tennis team. I had supportive teammates, and they helped me if I had trouble. Competitions were starting. It was a win-lose situation for me. I won most of my matches, but lost, obviously. Although I'm proud to say I was successfully able to help my tennis team win the Brooklyn Diocese Girls Tennis Championship in 2018. After the tennis season ended, I also gave track and field a try, which I did well on. My family and friends were astonished that I was playing another sport right after tennis season ended. Overall, it may be said that turns out I'm not bad at sports as I anticipated. I proved people wrong that I'm capable of being good at least one or two sports. I learned a lesson is to be patient and never doubt yourself. Thank you.
Melissa.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Castellano, and I'm a first year here at UHart. I come from a Puerto Rican family, and about 7 years ago, my mom and I and a few other family members went down for a trip. One day while we were there, we went to the beach. The beach was beautiful, and it had nice clear water. There wasn't any trash around like how sometimes we see the beaches in Connecticut. And the best part was that there honestly weren't that many people. I spent most of my time, as a kid does, just playing with the sand and swimming in the water. One thing about beaches in Puerto Rico is that the waves there are extremely strong. I was in the water, swimming and playing, and I had told my mom to come in the water with me, but she didn't really want to. But I did somehow convince her to come in with me, but she wasn't as deep in the water as I wanted her to be. So, as the amazing kid I was, I kind of gave her a little push in. But as most of you probably guessed, that didn't turn out so great. One thing you should also keep in mind is that at the time I wore glasses, and during this my mom was holding my glasses for me. She ended up falling in, and somehow in the middle of her fall she had let go of my glasses. When she got back up, she immediately started yelling at me because my glasses were now somewhere in the ocean, who knew where at that point. I began panicking and trying to find them in the water. There was no way I was going to spend the rest of the trip being blind, but I really couldn't find them. I ended up sadly walking out of the water to go cry to my grandpa. While I was complaining to him, I had the urge to just turn around for a second, and when I did, there were my glasses there, just laying down on the sand. Turns out the waves ended up bringing them back to me. I don't know how I got that lucky, but it was literally a miracle. Even though this was just a funny little story, when I think about it now, it has a bigger meaning. The meaning being that everything that's meant for you will come to you at the right time. My glasses coming back to me during that time of panic and worry is a little example of this bigger meaning. Thank you.
Yeah, and don't forget this one, please. Shanice. Sex and the City and Gossip Girl will never show you what it's actually like growing up in the city. The bright lights all of the time, and the people, their accents. The city is an amazing place. It is a city that never sleeps. Wait, maybe it is like the movies. Let's talk about the real New York City. Living in the city as a child was a fantastic place. I was surrounded by different cultures, diversities, and lastly, different learning experiences. Growing up in the city and moving to the suburbs changed my life, both for good and bad. Growing up in the city was an amazing experience for both me and my family. However, living in the city was hard. Moving to the suburbs, we had the white picket fence, yards, basically the American dream. In the city, schools tend to be more populated, the classes were filled with students, and just not a really good environment for a child to learn in.
However, there is a chance that you can break through that and change the stigma. In the suburbs, we had a high quality learning education, more space with sports and teachers who actually cared. However, moving from New York City came with both pros and cons. Some pros were that we had outdoor space and an indoor space, and we got a dog. We had space to run around in and play, and just so much more like opportunities to be outside. In the city, there was loud noises all the time. There was always something happening. There was horns, blazing sirens, and the suburbs is just like quiet and homey place. Well, I was upset that I was moving and I would miss my friends and family, but I learned to adapt and I made new friends and I made new life experiences that I would never change. I would change for anything. I learned a good lesson about positive change while moving to the suburbs. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanice. Vanessa?
Hi everyone. Not many of you guys know this, but when I was 6 years old, I chipped my front tooth. Back in the first grade during winter break, my family and I traveled to Pennsylvania to go to an indoor water park for winter break. I was very excited because I love to swim and I couldn't do so because of the weather, and having the opportunity to go to the indoor water park sounded so fun. One of the biggest attractions in the water park was the big water bucket. This huge water bucket hung over the majority of the water park, and it was filled with water. The bucket would tip over and splash everyone in the park. I was so eager for the water bucket, so when I arrived at the park, one of the first things I did was stand directly under the bucket with so much excitement to get splashed. Finally, when the huge bucket was filled with water and tipped over and splashed everyone in the park, I was fully underestimated how powerful the splash was and fell to the ground and hit a water slide due to the intense force of the splash. When I got up, I noticed I chipped my front tooth. I was devastated. I showed my mom, and she looked back at me with complete shock and immediately booked an appointment for the dentist to get it fixed. But the only available spot was after the first week of school. So I was so sad and embarrassed that everyone was going to see it and say something. When I arrived at school, I decided not to speak to avoid anyone seeing my chipped tooth. Unfortunately, that didn't last long. And everyone noticed, and I was bombarded with loads of questions, and I told everyone what happened and accepted the fact that I chipped my tooth. At the time as a kid, I was so embarrassed and humiliated. But now I look back at it as a funny story to tell. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackson.
Hello, my name is Jackson, and we'll be talking about my trip to the Bahamas around this time last year. Previously, up to that point, I hadn't gone to a tropical place in almost 3 years. All four of us left in the morning and got there around dinner time. The flight was scary because the plane was bouncing in the air. Staying in the Baha Mar was a good experience other than getting no towels. Aside from the towels, Baha Mar had very luxurious dinner places. The first night staying there, I had a delicious burger with fries. At the dinner, I met James and PJ, who were my uncle's colleagues. They were very friendly and nice people because they said I had a nice smile. Food was a big part of this trip since food makes me happy. I enjoy eating. I ate a lot of good food on this trip. My most memorable food was filet, truffle mac and cheese, and a delicious cheesecake. Before the filet, we had fried rice and tartare, which was pretty good. The Baha Mar also has high water slides. I got to ride a couple with my uncles and his friends. A kid fell off a tube while on a ride, which caused the ride to be delayed for a few minutes. This eventually led us to move to a different part of the Baha Mar. The Bahamas legal age of gambling is 18, so I was playing slots for a little while. Unfortunately, I lost a couple hundred playing blackjack. My uncles were teaching me how to play craps. I was not confident in my ability to play craps, so I did not put money down. My tan was incredible considering I was in the sun every day for a week. During the day, my family saw cool animals such as birds, sharks, and a big turtle. At night, my uncles would gamble and I would watch, or we would be outside on a rooftop. One night, we ate dinner on the beach, which was nice because of the food and the breeze. Other than eating, tanning, and swimming, the trip was very fun. I made a lot of memories with my friends and family. I look forward to more trips in the future. Thank you.
Keely.
This was not, it might not be on right now.
Oh, Keely, how do you look on the camera?
I'm in it.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Just wanted to make sure.
Have you ever felt very strongly about something, but everyone around you tells you that you're wrong? Sometimes it's important to listen to your intuition because it might just save your life. When I was in kindergarten, I was hospitalized for over 2 weeks with the swine flu. I'd gotten it from my brother, whose symptoms were merely a runny nose and a headache. When I'd gotten sick, I of course had a much more dramatic reaction, and my lung collapsed due to me also having double pneumonia. I had undergone different surgeries, and because of this, also had a feeding and breathing tube. The hospital that I've been staying at also happened to be a learning hospital, which isn't a bad thing, but it means that there's an increased margin of error. My mother never saw this as an issue because she's an experienced nurse who's very knowledgeable in her field. However, it got to the point where she was the one who was keeping track of what medications I was on, when I'd been taking them, and other things that she shouldn't have been responsible for. One day, a group of students had entered my room declaring that after 2 days of me already having the breathing tube, that the surgeon had put it in wrong, and that I would need a pigtail put in to drain the fluid from my lungs. My mother was very confused by what she was hearing and told them that she would need to think about it. The students grew frantic and started making comments such as, "What kind of mother are you?" or "What is there to think about? This is your daughter." Those words did not in fact sit well with my mom, and she immediately started arguing with them until the security was at her door ready to kick her out of the hospital. All the drama finally caught the attention from the surgeon, who came in to see what the issue was. And after hearing each side, he informed the students that not only was the breathing tube put in correctly from the start, but also that if they had went ahead with the pigtail, I likely would not have survived. Because of my mom, I realized the importance of sticking true to your own beliefs and not being thrown off by the influence of others. Thank you.
Thank you. Brianna, you get to close the speeches today.
Well, it's that time of year again when high school seniors are waiting to hear back from colleges to see if they were accepted. The time of year where each student is filled with excitement, curiosity, and an extreme fear of rejection. You would think that their guidance counselors would help them through this stressful process. However, in my case, there was no help. When I was a high school senior, I was so excited to apply to colleges. I had a few in mind, such as Southern Connecticut State University, University of Hartford, UConn, etc. When I already had my major picked out, nursing. Around this time, students were put into conferences with their guidance counselors. In my conference, we discussed which colleges I wanted to apply to. I told my guidance counselor the list of schools, and she gave me a funny look. I did not understand why she was looking at me in that way. She proceeded to tell me that I should look at different colleges and recommended different majors. I didn't understand why because I was an honor student. When I asked why, she said that the schools would not fit me and told me not to apply because I wouldn't get in. After our meeting, my heart sunk. I thought it was the end of the world. She made me believe that I was not good enough for any colleges. Later that day, I told my mom what happened. My mother told me to apply anyway. In December 2021, my very first college acceptance letter came in the mail. It was from the University of Hartford. The letter not only accepted me into their campus, but also accepted me into their nursing program. As more acceptance letters came in the mail, I realized my guidance counselor was wrong. I learned that I can accomplish anything I put my mind to and not let people who doubt me bring me down. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I expected this to be small today. Okay, thank you. All right. Oops, sorry, did I get you there?